Hello. Hello. Welcome. Kristen Wambach here with Intentional Now podcast. Another week has gone by and here we are. How are you doing? And no, if you listened to last week's podcast, no, I am not recording this live on Instagram. That was an experience and I might do it again, but not today. I like this particular platform because it feels like I can be focused and it feels like I'm talking to you one-on-one, and that is very important to me. It is a blustery, wet day here in Corvallis, Oregon. A true November weather. My husband, Don, is, of course, still working on those leaves. But the trees are beginning to show their winter bare. I love it. I absolutely love all four seasons and so glad that I live somewhere that has four seasons. What about you? What's the weather doing in your neck of the woods? Because remind you, everybody, listeners, that this is international and we have listeners in India and Hungary and France and Australia. Welcome. And Ireland and the great US of A. And so we have a few other weather patterns in consideration out there, right? Okay. Well, this is going to be amazing today. My notes are almost an ebook in themselves. And yes, you're going to want them. And so hold on to your chair, right? Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I honor you. I value you. I value that you would trade this time to spend it with me. So this is our third week. And we are walking through or around or into, because remember, did you get that? We're walking through, around, or into chapter 11 of the unfinished book, Angels on a First Name Basis. So make sure that you pick up a copy of the unfinished book. It's available at all of your online retailers in all formats. If you'd like a signed copy, you may order one directly from me here at KristenWambach.com. I am putting up my little sticky note here that says talk slower and lower your voice. It's a good sticky note, huh? And while we're on the housekeeping, I'm going to invite you to follow the podcast, which keeps you updated and notified when I release a new episode. Come and visit me on my website or Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest to get the full meal deal on resources, encouragement, and personal profile information. On the schedule, you don't want to miss this. Okay, I'll say that again. This is on the schedule and you don't want to miss this, right? So I'm offering a free building and creating a Facebook page. Yep, and I'm probably speaking to all your 40 plus year olds. This is for you. Those people who are terribly challenged by computers and social media. Hello, ding, ding, ding. So this free class is taking place on November 20th at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. You may register for this free class via a link on my link tree, or you can go directly at my website and you can register there. This is going to be awesome and great. It's going to be a small group class on Zoom, so you may want to make sure and get your seat right away. Also, where are the horns? I think I have horns. I have a buzzer. I have a boo. I can do the drum rolls. Ready? I love it. I found the little drum roll button. So the drum rolls. Are you ready? We are gearing up for a fantastic 2022. Can you believe it? And you want to get in on this blessing, so your new year is set in order. You are prepared, encouraged, right? So, Coaching for Life 2022. It's an Instagram coaching platform geared at meeting you right where your mobile device lives. I think I should say that again. That was a tongue twister. An Instagram coaching platform geared at meeting you right where your mobile device lives, right? In your pocket or in your purse, anywhere, anytime, professional coaching from you know who. Catch more information at the website, all the goodies, all the bonuses. You don't want to miss this opportunity. And early registration offers discounts and goodies through the holidays. La da da. Okay. I love great resources too, and I love working with amazing and brilliant people. Okay, let's lay some great questions up front for this episode, okay? We're just going to jump right in so that you know what we're going to be talking about today. Number 1, making angels practical. How do they help on a real life basis? Number 2, how angels partner with your destiny scroll, meaning the desires that God has called you to, your destiny scroll, who you are, who He's called you to be. Sometimes those desires are very much a part of the age or the season you are walking in. For instance, if you're a mom and a dad with a young family, your desires are going to be around that particular age that you are living in, right? Say that you are an entrepreneur and you're doing business. Angels help you make supernatural connections. They help you to make business choices. And there's so much good stuff. So, what about relational issues? How would it look to work with your spouse's angel for their best interest? And this is a side note, okay? Just stick it on the shelf. Freebie. This is side note freebie. Spouses, remember that God's covenant of marriage decrees that we are one flesh. So when you ascend in prayer, take your spouse's spirit with you into heaven. Yep. Talk about relational therapy. Ooh, Lord. And since we're giving out freebies here, remember, always go ask Jesus. That one flesh means you can take your spirit into your spouse's spirit. Remember, it's all energy and light. You go, what did she say? Yep, we'll talk about it later. And you're going to have to listen to this again and get the notes. And of course, always ask Jesus. Don't overthink it. Nope, don't overthink it. And if it's the season for you to experience this, or maybe you'll just put it on your shelf. But for some of us with communication difficulties, it is an answer to prayer. Yeah. So this particular episode is going to facilitate much wisdom and answers for many of us today. So you got your headphones on? Did you download it? Okay, so you can walk on your treadmill. You can listen while you drive. You could go take a walk. You could listen while you're washing dishes. Or if you are a note taker, then you better pick up your pen. Now, what was the name of today's podcast? Oh, that's right. What? Quantum entanglement? Seriously? Yep. Are you ready? First, let's have a kindergarten description and why it matters to you. Quantum physics It is the discussion about the fundamental rules of the universe, all subatomic particles, atoms, electrons, and protons. Well, what do you mean by subatomic, Kristen? It's the really small stuff you can't see with your naked eye and sometimes not even with a microscope. It's the little stuff. Let's keep it simple, okay? I'm going to give you a simple example. So you pick up your phone to call your best friend. You push the button. Light connects at that point and travels all the way to the cell tower, sending your call to a satellite or along a path of cell towers till it rings your BFF's phone. She says, "Hello, I was just going to call you." Now you have two examples of light and thought movement. But you were unable to perceive the light, the frequency, the sound, the wave of the phone call, right? As always, let's keep it simple and practical, okay? The more I understand about the movement of light and sound, the more I understand how angels engage and interact with us. And remember, God is a spirit. We are spirits as well, and we live in bodies. So the more we understand spirit, light, sound, frequency, energy, the more we know about ourselves. So, I'm going to share my first story today from the unfinished book. This is my first story. I'm just kind of picking and choosing in there. So if you have your copy handy, okay, and you want to read along with me, I am on page 141 in a paperback. Or if you're on Kindle or an e-reader, just put into your search bar once you've opened up my book, put in your search bar, Personal Angels Samuel. And that should get you right there where we can read it together. That makes it fun, right? So this example, we will see how light, sound, and time are introduced to me, and it introduced Samuel, my guardian angel. Are you ready? This is good. Okay. I woke up one morning having experienced being on a construction site in my dreams. I had a white hard hat, work boots. It seemed like I had been working all day. I was covered in dirt and very tired. The location was urban, tall buildings, office complexes, and nearby was a busy section of a cloverleaf highway overpass. You could hear the cars zooming past. The building in its infancy, lumber and steel supplies stacked up everywhere. Cement trucks were parked for the evening at the end of a hard day. I assumed I had a management role, as I was the last to get ready to leave the site and was heading to the makeshift mobile office at the edge of a vast city lot. I was acutely aware that I needed a shower, and somewhere in my near future would make it a priority. Two men were sitting just outside the office door. It didn't seem to alarm me particularly. Both had smiles from ear to ear and almost cut off the other for the rights to the first words of introduction. "Hi, I'm Peter." He shot out his hand to shake and start the introductions. I hesitated for a moment. My dirty hands. I pretended to dust them off on my jeans, and then I met his firm handshake. This vibrant, inviting Peter, oblivious to my grunge of the day, at length held my hand. He just held it, bordering on socially unacceptable. His timing was perfect, intending to make a keen impression. Easy to look at, he was virile, forthright, with a vivacious personality. to his chagrin and common courtesy, demanding our attention, then directed towards the introduction of the other man. Nobly standing up in one fluid motion, and instead of offering me his hand, he offered his chair, both vying for my attention, equally confident. "This is your place," Samuel said. Dignified and graying around the temples, wisdom partner with a peacefully sure-footed countenance. I was drawn by the glory that sat upon him. Communication was comfortable, and I felt an overwhelming love of the Father when in his presence. Clasped on his right wrist, I noticed a luxurious gold watch. Samuel also observed my interest in the unique piece. Unspoken words exchanged as Peter looked back and forth at our conversation, and then he stepped out of the picture, knowing that I was tired and feeling unkempt at the end of my workday. Samuel seemed particular that we arrive at a date for getting together. Since it was evident I was still desired to take a shower before entertaining an evening out. End of the encounter. Already awakened by this heavenly interaction, the feeling of complete, touchable love lingered as tears rolled down my cheeks. I still revel in the spiritual and the luxuriant warmth of the Father's presence, thick, loving, and unconditional. Moments passed, and I picked up my journal to note the rendezvous, also wondering about the invitation and its time and place. Yeah, he had invited me, and that's why the watch on his wrist was so important. He'd invited me to what? This particular brush of the divine remains kindred with the essence of Father God's personhood, caressed as if his arms were around it. Almost 2 years later, divine word of mouth sent me on a YouTube journey after attending a particular conference in Southern California where I had purchased MP3 teachings titled Night Watch. In the latter part of the MP3 message, the speaker shared a testimony about a church in England that was walking through kingdom transitions similar in experience to our little church. How they were stepping through the veil corporately. My quest was to find who had such a testimony. My search found Mike Parsons and his church in Barnstable, England. Shortly after arriving home from this conference, I emailed him the same day. His response was one of a most gracious, hospitable doors I have ever had the pleasure to find. I began searching through available teaching and a vast amount of YouTube materials, picking at random the first of which to listen to. I set aside a not to be disrupted time, a quiet time, and turned on the pre-recorded teaching. Mike and another lady, via Google Hangouts, began a corporate ascension, walking through the door, the veil, and up the river of life. I had never experienced a pathway in this manner before, even though it was a replay. Experienced a pathway in this manner. I stepped through and I joined the journey knowing that God would accompany me along the way. The language was a bit different, but yet familiar, walking in the Spirit and seeing Jesus. They mentioned on this path coming to your mountain and Jesus introducing you to your angel that has been holding your assignment, sitting on your throne until such time that you ascended and begin the transformation of learning how to rule and reign on your spiritual mountain. Just a reminder. Remember, we're called kings and priests, and we are to rule and reign with him. So, I walked with Jesus, and I saw the peak of this mountain in the Spirit. We approached, and a glorious being of light transformed in front of me. Immediately, the favorite memory rekindled as tears bursted down my face. No introductions were needed. Jesus smiled with unspoken words, watching a portion of the fullness of his joy flow. My spirit embraced Samuel, the regal angel who had held and guarded and stewarded the spiritual realm of my destiny, without a name, unseen, unacknowledged, waiting to tutor me in the things of the kingdom. He's a defender of destiny, teacher of those who wear crowns, and exhorter of kingdom tools, teaching me how to decree victory. Isn't that awesome? That was very, very special to me, meeting Samuel. And so I was in two places at one time. Okay? So now let's get even more practical. In my preparation for today's broadcast, I was asking the Lord for a really cool example that toots all of our horns in the amazing supernatural fun stuff, right? I love this stuff. It is so interesting. It's so unique, and it just holds my attention, obviously. So yesterday I was sitting in my living room in the morning discussing this with him. He highlighted two areas to me: Intentional Now podcast, and I'll share it like this. And then he also highlighted this. So use your imaginations here. A stuffy, a stuffed animal of an Energizer bunny. Yep, a pink Energizer bunny with the drum that never stops beating or going. Can you see the spiritual assumptions here? As with all gifts or illuminations in the spirit, you put them inside of you. Remember, the kingdom is within you. There's the kingdom within you where the door opens in. There's the kingdom without you. That's where the door opens out. You go into his kingdom and follow the river. And then there's the revolving door where we're bringing to heaven to earth. Just listen to a few back episodes and you will get it. I talk about it often. It's just the simple explanation of Jesus being the door in my life. Okay? So he puts his gifts and unctions on the inside, the kingdom of heaven within me. It's like I have a library in there, a storage, bookshelves, and I put everything in there because it's for my benefit. So it's much like reading Braille with your fingertips. It helps you to feel or read or perceive the sound wave or read it. No, I didn't say that you always understand it, but you hear it. So when you encounter something, when you touch it or lean into it or put it inside of you, it's like Braille. It helps your other senses begin to pick it up. So I recommend that you do this with your communion, whether they are spiritual elements or natural ones. Put them, his body and his blood, inside of you. When you do this, also set your expectation to hear, feel, see, be healed, understand, feel his love. You got that right? My, this is a wealth of goodness today. Right? So let's turn up our desire and turn up our expectation. So, this Energizer bunny and my podcast. Well, immediately I was transported in the spirit to the top of Mary's Peak. It is the highest peak in the Oregon Coast Range, 4,997 feet. 3 days ago, Dawn and I had noticed when we were driving in town that there was snow on top. Well, I love the snow and immediately knew that we needed to take a drive to see winter decorating nature. I love it. I absolutely love it. And yes, we are still talking about angels here. Years ago, I'd met the angel who oversees Mary's Peak. It had been a while, yes. I have grown a lot since that time, and I have increased in my area of understanding. Yeah. So remember, angels are very militaristic. That's just the best way that I know how to explain it. They come in battalions and orders, and they're very organized. Heaven is organized. So it just helps us to understand, okay? So I'm going to ask you, let your imagination begin to unpack what an angel assigned to the tallest peak in your region. What would their assignment be? Start taking some little mental notes or write it down for you note takers. What do you suppose their assignment would be if they sat on the highest peak in your particular region? So next, I perceived the angel, and he was as large as the peak, standing above and over. He had on royal armor. This is all from my living room. Remember, our spirits are not bound by time or space. They're only bound by too much logic and reasoning. Go ask Jesus, okay? So then I saw this angel, and he extended his sword south by southeast. I saw a familiar aerial sight, a red and white checkered board sign of a fertilizer plant that you can see for miles and miles away. I knew in my heart exactly what the angel was pointing to. It's a place that the Father and I have spent a tremendous amount of time in the spirit and in the natural. This place is written on my destiny scroll. So the next scene, I see myself climbing up a tall tower at this location that this angel is pointing at. And all of a sudden I see myself, I'm waving back at myself on Mary's Peak, encountering this angel. Well, this was yesterday. It's like being two places at the same time. Can you be sitting here listening to me and also rekindle the day you met your spouse? Absolutely, you can. Two places at the same time. So just a reminder, the purpose of this podcast, okay, is an engaging workshop discussion on change, purpose, and redefining what we say yes to. We're spiritual entrepreneurs here. We're chasing bold dreams. We're doing the work, asking the questions, and getting life done. Done? The life we were meant to live. We're doing this, right? And we are making angels practical, right? Practical means that they can reach right into your day, your circumstance, your victories, and offer assistance. That's all very good. Let's continue. I am two places at the same time. I'm at the top of Mary's Peak, and I'm also waving back at myself and the angel from the top of a tower that I've spent time with the Father at. Now we are going to touch on quantum entanglement. So bear with me. I understood at this point that I was looking from two places in time. So that would have been yesterday and also the future. Today, I saw it from my living room. And Don and I also, yesterday, we took a drive up there because I was going to attempt to do this podcast episode from the top of Mary's Peak. Since so many of you love my episode, Impromptu from Our Sailboat. That's good business, right? Repeat what your right fit clients love. Did you hear that, you entrepreneurs? You're going to have to listen to this episode more than once. It's rich with understanding, helps, and wisdom. Okay. I'll give you my notes and you can find them highlighted from my podcast page. And they're almost as long as an ebook. Okay. So here I am yesterday, actually on top of Mary's Peak. No luck. I had fluctuating and very weak 2 bars of connection, and I couldn't get them settled down enough to grab a stable signal. Besides, it was very cold, very rainy, and snow was on the ground. No matter. I was prepared and I was going to do it, but I was unable. So, quantum entanglement in a nutshell. Let's say, let's pick on we want to lose weight, right? Oh, arg. Let's say you would like to lose weight. We're going to imagine ourselves 1 year from now. Imagine yourselves 1 year from now within that subject matter. You want to lose weight. Even imagine the location you are seeing yourself standing at. All right. You can look right now. Just imagine yourself somewhere in a place and wow, we look good. We feel better. And many of us have found healing from nagging issues of pain, digestive issues and such. Yep, it's all right there. Okay? Now take that picture of you looking super fine and hold it in your imagination. Now, take a picture of where you are right now, today, listening to this podcast. You can see that you are in 2 places at one time. Now I'm going to take it a step further and assume by the grace of God that you have actually seen into the future. Everybody desires to be their best, walk in wellness. Okay? So I call that a time charge. Much like our pink Energizer bunny, right? You get the type and shadow here. So your today is entangled with your tomorrow. If you focus on it, lean into it, and respond in actions towards it, you will arrive there. Absolutely. Quantum entanglement. They're attracted to each other. Remember? Quantum physics, it is the discussion about the fundamental rules of the universe. All subatomic particles, atoms, electrons, and protons. Now, the power of focusing and believing what the Lord showed you creates the same flow of energy, just like that phone call to your friend earlier. So much to learn and so much to share. But I'm going to give you a testimony to test your moaning. Get it? I'm going to give you testimony to test your moaning. Ready? Communion to England story. When I say testimony, this is like real. This absolutely happened. Now, so let me see. 5 years ago? Oh, help me remember. I know it's more than 4. 5 years ago, my dear editor friend, she is French and she lives in England. And we had been Zooming almost every week for a couple of years now. And she was connected to me and we'd never met each other. So we were learning this particular type of information and experiences from God. And so we decided to put it into action. I mean, isn't that what you do? You put it into action, like drive to Mary's Peak yesterday, huh? So I asked her one day when we're on a Zoom call, I asked her, I go, Laura, would you please just imagine if I was there in England with you, would you just imagine, now don't tell me, but just imagine a place that you would take me. And then hold that thought and imagine we're going to have communion there together. All right. I'm there with you in this favorite place of yours, right? Okay. So we are just letting our imaginations and our spirit, remember, our spirit can travel outside of time and space. So she's imagining this place. She hasn't told me. And we're going to have communion there. Now, we decided we wanted to have hot apple cider, and we have this particular affection for these little Christmas cookies. They're, what's the name on them? They're a German spice Christmas cookie shaped in a heart, dipped in chocolate, and they have a squish of like apricot jelly squished in the middle of them. They are wonderful, and that was going to be our communion. So we are just setting this all up, and we're going to have communion over the wires, over the Zoom lines, right? And believe God. And all of a sudden, I started to hear bicycle bells, like ching, 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 get out of the way, ching, ching. And I told her, I go, I can hear bicycle bells. And then all of a sudden I saw and I go, there's water, there's water. And what's that little bridge there? So I was seeing in the spirit where she was planning on taking me. And yes, it was on a canal with a little bridge, and there was a bike path next to it. Isn't that the coolest? I love this stuff. And so we decided in everything that God had shown us, we were going to have communion. So we had communion. She actually had those elements, and we had communion in the spirit together. And we did that. I don't remember if we did it every time we met, but we did that often. Okay. You know what happened? I think you know the end of the story. I arrived there 7 months later. It all came to pass. And that place on the canal we actually went to, we actually had hot apple cider in a thermos and ate those cookies and had communion and gave the Lord praise. It actually happened 7 months later. Quantum entanglement. Those two DNAs, when you focus on them, they actually are attracted to each other and they end up coming together, right? Absolutely happened. Now, let's get back to our angel story here. Now, what have we learned about this angel who oversees Mary's Peak? I did give him a name. I gave him a name of QE, short for quantum entanglement. Yep, because that's the way he presented himself to me. So we know this, right? Names help us to remember their purpose, position, and help. He came to help me see in the future and assist me bringing to pass those desires. His name, quantum entanglement, and purposes are written on my scroll. How do I know this? Angels will not function outside of heaven's consent. Psalms 103:20 through 22. Bless the Lord, all his angels, mighty in strength, who carry out his word, who hearken to the voice of his command. Bless the Lord, all his hosts, you servants who do his will. Bless the Lord, all his work in all places of his dominion. Bless the Lord, oh my soul. You can just hear the song, right? Bless the Lord, oh my soul. Oh, my soul. I'm not going to go there, but you can hear it. Number 4 about QE. He can assist me on the timeline. We're talking subatomic stuff, right? QE obviously is a being of light and can move through light, time, and ages. We're learning something here, aren't we? He is here to assist and serve the heirs of salvation. And who's that? That's you and me. Remember, he was dressed in armor, his position of authority, and military governance. Just being an angel of a high peak of a region, that's kind of like, he is an important dude. He obviously has been overseeing this peak for many generations. And can you imagine the people that he's encountered? Or can you even imagine the people that don't even have a clue? Ah, so much to think on here. So, and that is a perfect hands-on discussion, right? Of Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I'm going to say that again because it's good. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for. So when you hope for something, what is hope for? Hope is something you're hoping for something to change. You're hoping for your prayers and the answer of your prayers to come to pass. So you're hoping that your desires and prayers have a substance, which brings the evidence of things not yet seen. When you hope for them, you're not holding them in your hand. So let's entangle our faith with some quantum light. Amen? Amen. Woo-hoo. That was some good stuff. So fun. Fun. Yep, I'm going to leave you my notes. Re-listen to it. Apply it. Move into it. Remember, it's alive. Believe your imagination. Take Jesus with you all the time. Go check it out. Yeah. Imagine yourself 1 year. And what type of actions would you be doing to arrive at that place in 1 year? Whew. Quantum entanglement. Let's the light and creation and everything that God has created, read Genesis 1 and 2, let it assist you to overcome and be victorious. Right? Oh, I know. There's that soapbox again. I love this stuff. And it is so cool and it's so practical. Okay, I heard that. Somebody said, well, Kristen, how can I meet my angels? Go ask Jesus. Go ask Jesus to introduce you to your guardian angels. I suggest that you have 3. I have 3, so why wouldn't you have 3? 3 guardian angels. Yeah, and one of the guardian one, he is a dude. He looks mine. He looks like a one of these ninja fighters. Woo! Now that is a good guardian angel to have, right? Some ninja dude. And, he just hangs around all the time. Sophie, Eridon, and Kelsey. Those are my 3 angels that hang tight with me all the time. Samuel is the angel who sat and assists me learning and teaching me like a governor or a tutor. Talks about that in Romans. That God sends governors and tutors to train you up until you mature to be able to rule and reign. Yep, go look it up. That's who Samuel is. He is amazing. Because, seriously, he sat there for years until I got a clue. I could just keep talking about this. I trust you were extremely blessed. And remember, angels are here to minister to the heirs of salvation. That's you and that's me. And those things, those situations, circumstance, whether blessings or the hard stuff that we're walking through, they are there to assist. They hang out with the glory of God. They do. Yeah. Nothing to be afraid of. Though I have felt the hair on the back of my neck stand up before. Nothing to be afraid of. Nope. Go ask Jesus. It is their heart's desire. It is their desire to accomplish their assignment to bring your destiny to pass into its fullness. Right? Isn't that why Jesus died on the cross, right? He died on it and he said it for the joy set before him. What is that joy? Seeing you and me. That's the joy. I'm going to do this because I see you. I see me. Oh, Jesus is being in two places at one time. Okay. Good stuff. So again, let's entangle our faith with some quantum light. Yeah, that was fun. Remember to follow the podcast, Intentional Now Podcast. And also, if you pop into Instagram, be sure to pop over to KWomback59. And if you want to do a hashtag Intentional Now Podcast, I will absolutely know that you are a listener. That's the fun stuff, right? This is community. This is like the world is not very big. It's actually rather small. So back to the front, remember? Calling the BFF. So my voice goes into this microphone and it travels down that cord. Actually, my voice goes in the cord to go into my computer, goes into the software, and then the software, which is hooked up to the Wi-Fi, carries it to this satellite frequency stuff and carries my voice through their software, their programming, and it carries all the way to you. And no matter what device you're listening on, and it's chiming in. My voice from Corvallis, Oregon is all the way chiming into your device, and you're listening to it with headphones on, earbuds, I don't know, we're just having it turned up from your computer, and there it is. That is the light, the sound, the frequency. That's the subatomic stuff that we can't see, but it's there to be seen. Yep, it's good. You have an absolutely blessed day. And I encourage you with what we've talked about and shared today. Remember, heaven is alive. It is alive. We talked about healing. We talked about business stuff. We talked about overcoming. We talked about being encouraged by the love of God that wants us to accomplish who we are in us, through us, and around us, right? Yeah. Somebody gonna get a good touch because I am. Oh, this has been wonderful. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. I value you. I'm going to go stick my notes on the website so they are there for you, for your note keepers, journalers, and I will talk to you again real soon. This has been amazing. I bless you. Bye now.